Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's Zoo to You. I'm Jen, and I'm here at Stone Zoo at our Flamingo exhibit. And today's Zoo to You is brought to you by the U.Fund College Investing Plan and MEFA. So today we're going to be talking all about our flamingos and some of their amazing winter adaptations. I also have some trivia questions that I'm going to be asking as we go along through the chat. So as I ask the trivia questions, feel free to put your guesses down into the chat below, as well as any questions that you have. So you may be surprised to see flamingos outside in January here in Massachusetts. I actually had a child in one of my programs once call them snowmingos. And I thought that was really cute, so that's what they forever shall be known to me as in the winter time here. But they do have some amazing adaptations that help to keep them warm in the winter time. So a lot of birds have something called counter current heat exchange. And what that means is that they're able to pump the warm blood from their bodies down into their lower extremities, so through their legs and down into their feet. And then that colder blood that's been down in their feet gets recirculated back up into their bodies. So it's a constant flow, able to circulate their bodies and keep them nice and warm. It also helps the opposite, helps keep them nice and cool in the summer when it does get really hot. So it can reverse as well. You might also notice that our flamingos here are standing on one leg. So flamingos do this. A lot of scientists think that they do it to help conserve their body heat. By tucking that leg up close to their body, they're able to get that heat from their body to warm up their foot, and then they can switch those feet as needed. So as long as we keep the water here at a warm enough temperature that it's not going to freeze over in the winter, we can actually keep our flamingos out all winter long. In the winter time, they're getting a little chatty. In the winter time, our water temperature is around 40 degrees or so it is above freezing. But if it ever was too cold for these guys to stay outside, or if we just had way too much snow or ice, they also have a nice warm indoor space and a big pool inside a building that we could also move them to. So now that we've talked a little bit about their winter adaptations, let's get into some trivia. So first of all, does anybody know what species of flamingos these are? And also, while you're thinking about that, if anybody has a guess how many different species of flamingo there are in the world, you can put that in as well. So I'll give you a minute to answer that, and I'll kind of talk a little bit about our flamingos here at the Stone Zoo. So we do have 49 flamingos here. You might notice some bands on their legs, and those bands are identifiers for the individuals. So if you see a green band, that tells you that it's a male flamingo. And if you see a yellow band, that's going to identify a female. You'll also notice that they each have numbers, and those numbers help us to identify the flamingos as individuals so that we can keep tabs on each and every one. Make sure that they're healthy. We can look at their weights, put them in veterinary procedures if we need to, just to keep track of their health. So if you guess that these guys are American flamingos or Caribbean flamingos, you are correct. So this is one of 6 species of flamingos that are found throughout the world. There are 2 that are found in the Old World, and 4 species living in the New World or the Americas. So the most widespread flamingo is the greater flamingo, which is found in areas of Africa, Southern Europe, and South and Southwest Asia. The lesser flamingo is the most numerous, and that's going to live in the Great Rift Valley of Africa into Northwest India. And then here in the New World, in the Americas, we have the Chilean flamingo, which is found in the temperate South America areas, the Andean flamingo, and the James or the Puna flamingo, which are found high in the Andes Mountains of Peru, Chile, Bolivia, and Argentina. And then, just like these guys, the American flamingo, which can be found in the Caribbean islands, Belize, the Galapagos Islands, and even the southern part of the United States and Florida. So this brings us to our next trivia question. you're looking at their beautiful coloration, true or false, flamingos are born pink. So if you have a guess, you can go ahead and put that guess into the comments if you think that they are born pink or not. You can see that they vary. They have some lighter feathers, some darker pink coral feathers. Even underneath their wings, they actually have a little bit of black on their flight feathers as well. So if you answered false to this question, you would be correct. So when flamingos first hatch, they're actually born a whitish gray color. And it can actually take 2 to 3 years before that flamingo becomes mature and they develop these bright pink feathers. So they're going to get these bright pink feathers from things that they eat. So in the wild, that's going to be food like small shrimp and crustaceans that are high in a pigment called carotenoid. So it's the same thing that you might find in foods that you eat, like carrots and beets. And they also will eat algae and some plant matter that's mixed into the water as well. Here at the zoo, we're going to feed them flamingo chow that has a supplement called roxanthin mixed into it. And that's what's going to give them their bright, vibrant pink color here at the zoo. Now, since we're talking about what they eat, you might notice them doing something kind of silly with their bills in the water. And that is actually how they feed. They filter feed with their bills upside down in the water. And they tip their head and sweep their head from side to side. They use their tongue to help pump the water out of their bills. And the way that the upper and the lower parts fit together, there's some little plates along the edges, helps them to basically spit out all of the water and keep all of the good stuff, all of the food inside their mouth. So that is a form of filter feeding that these guys are doing. So taking a look at some of their other adaptations, you'll notice that they have really long legs. They actually have the second longest legs relative to body size of any bird. So that brings us to our next trivia question. So the backward bending part of a flamingo's leg isn't its knee. So if that's not their knee, what part of the body is that for a flamingo? So again, if you have any guesses, you can go ahead and put those in the comments below. So talking about their legs, I mentioned that they can be longer than their entire body. And those long legs and that long neck allow them to wade and forage in water that's several feet deep. So you might be able to see some of our flamingos over here on the right that are just getting out of the water. You can see that they're kind of walking. That's pretty deep water right there. So those long legs keep them, at that good level that they want to be at to filter feed. So if we've had any guesses in our chat about what that bending part is, it may look like their knee is bending backwards. However, it's not the case. That is actually their ankle. So flamingos actually stand on their tiptoes, meaning that what looks like should be their knee is their ankle, and their knee is actually hidden by feathers and located up close to their body. So it's under so many feathers that you can't even see where their knee would be located. Also, speaking of their long necks, can anyone guess how many vertebrae a flamingo has in their neck? So humans, we have 7 vertebrae in our neck, and I can tell you that flamingos have more than that. So that's your little hint. And those long necks, again, that's going to allow for maximum movement and twisting. It helps them, again, to be able to do that filter feeding and to tuck their head back along their body when they're taking a rest or maybe taking a little nap. It allows them to preen. So it really just allows for a lot of movement for these guys. So if you guessed 19, you would be correct. So flamingos have 19 vertebrae in those long necks that you guys see. All right, so you guys did a great job answering those trivia questions. Have we had any questions come through for us?
Let's take a look at the chat. Can you just remind us how many flamingos we have here at Stone Zoo?
Yeah, so we have 49 flamingos here at Stone Zoo. And again, if you missed the beginning part when we were talking about males and females, the males have the green bands and the females have the yellow bands. So next time you come to visit us at the zoo, you can take a look and figure out which ones are boys and which ones are girls, which is pretty cool.
And then for some folks joining us a little bit later, would you mind just talking a little bit about their winter adaptation?
Sure, yeah. So at the very beginning, so if you're just joining us, we were chatting a little bit about how our flamingos can stay outside here in January in Massachusetts. And the main reason for that is something called countercurrent heat exchange. So it has to do with the way that they're pumping their blood, their warm blood from their bodies down through their legs and into their feet. And then that cooler blood that's going to be down in their feet back up into their bodies to warm up. So it just constantly circulates and keeps them nice and warm.
And is this an endangered species?
So these guys are not endangered. They are considered least concern. They are pretty common, but just like with many wild species, you know, there's always the threat of habitat loss due to road construction and housing development, and just human involvement in general that's causing some populations to be threatened. But as of right now, the American flamingo is considered least concerned. All right, so I don't think we have any more questions for today. But thank you everybody for joining us for another Zoo to You here with our flamingos at Stone Zoo. And you know, we're open every day. We still have zoo lights going on into the 17th. So if you guys haven't had a chance to come and visit us yet, make sure to come on by. Bye.